So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to pick the perfect brush in order to do the perfect blowout. The perfect blowout, I think, consists of lots of volume, smooth throughout the hair, and maybe a little bit of beveling at the ends. So I've been getting asked a lot what my favorite brush is or what brand should people buy and stuff like that, and so I decided to make a video. So the first thing with a brush, brand to me doesn't matter. I've used so many different ones and it really doesn't matter. To me, the key things that I need for a good blowout brush is, first of all, I need for the surface to be metal. So there's a lot of, I use a bore brush, like a bore round brush sometimes on myself, and that's just once in a while when I just feel like, I don't want to put my hair through any torture, using a brush with the bore bristles like this, but in a round brush, and that's a lot gentler on the hair. So, but it never gives you that shine as that, like a metal surface, whereas when you're blow drying the hair and the hair is gliding against that, this heats up so it works as a curling iron or like a flat iron, just a hot, smooth surface which the hair is just gliding on. And then the bristles on this are a little more harsh than this bore bristle one, but the fact that they do have some give, it does smooth out the hair and it does detangle and does all of that as you're blowing out. So the key things is the metal surface. These bristles need to be high enough. I don't know if you can see, but there's probably like ½ an inch of the bore bristles standing out, and when you know your brush is getting a little too old is because these eventually with time, say like a year or two, they start to kind of melt almost, or kind of bend with use, obviously. So when you see that the bristles are getting very low, or sometimes they'll either kind of like almost come together and do that, so that's not really doing its job. So at that point it's time to get a new one. So that's the key things. The other thing is the diameter, and the bigger the more volume. Smaller is also a lot harder to use because sometimes it's a lot easier to get caught in the hair, because if my hair is not very long, but say you have really long hair and you're trying to wind it on, say, a brush whose diameter is a lot smaller than this, then that means that the hair has wound around the brush more times than it would around a bigger brush, and so that's just asking for more tangles because you're wrapping it around so many times. So even this would be ideal for someone with, Kim Kardashian length hair or whatever. This gives you so much volume, and again, long hair like that would probably only wrap around 2 or 3 times, as opposed to one that's small would probably wrap around 7 or 8 times. So yeah, the diameter, the kind of metal-like surface, and the other thing which I like, I don't know, I think it probably helps more when I'm working on a client rather than myself, but having this little end, you can hide it and tuck it away, and it's just like a little knob, or you can pull it out and you have this little pick, and that's just to section out pieces of hair. So you grab a clean section and start that blowout. So I'm a fan of these. I don't know if it makes a difference to you. It could just be personal preference, but so that's another thing. And then the last thing on a brush, which seems so minimal and it's kind of hard to tell when you're shopping for them because you don't really think about this, or I didn't in the beginning, or like before, like I did hair professionally, I would just like look at a brush and I'm like, oh, this is gonna work great. So, but the other thing is the handle. It needs to be comfortable and for the brush not to be extremely heavy. These are fairly heavy, obviously, because they're big, but some are just so heavy. So I think these are pretty light for how big they are. But then the handle, it needs to have a good grip. I've had a couple of brushes which are amazing on the hair, but the handle is so smooth that it's just slips right out of your hand, or you don't have like control, like as because you're holding the blow dryer in one hand and you need to have like full control with the other hand, and when it's so smooth you have no control. So I like that this one has the rubbery end, so when you're kind of like swiveling around, your pinky has good grip on that rubber thing, and then here it's kind of beveled or perforated, so you have really good handle on that. And then this one, this is probably the easiest and best handle when it's kind of rubbery and it has that. So that's kind of where you want the most of your handling to be focused on. So, think about how great that would be to handle and stuff. And then one last thing, and this is sometimes that I'm willing to sacrifice if the brush is so great, but have you ever had where you're like, blow drying your hair, or you have the hair wrapped around the brush and the hair gets caught in like either here or here and it snags on the hair and it pulls really hard? I think brushes over time have gotten better at that, but that's what I love about this one. There's like no way the hair can get in there, and then here is just one solid piece of wood. Like, I don't know if you can tell, it doesn't really look like it's wood, but it's like white wood and it's like polished or whatever. But so anyway, because it's like all one smooth surface, there's nothing for the hair to get caught on, so I love that. And this one is pretty good too, because here is normally where hair would get caught, and I've used this one for a while and no hair has ever gotten caught. So those are my brush picks and what to look for when buying a round brush for blowouts. So I hope that was helpful.